I'm here with Jerry West, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today. Coach, player, GM, and all with one team, which isn't done that much anymore.
Well, it's probably been the byproduct of a lot of good fortune, because most, I think, players who have played for a particular team, they really don't have an opportunity to work for the other team, the same team that they played for. I never got traded. I was never uprooted in my life, and so I've had a long, long association with this team, and I feel very fortunate and very blessed that nothing really major, ugly ever came out of my association playing for this team.
Your association with the Lakers, as long as it's been with your years as a player and as 3 years as a coach and now going on your 9th year, I believe, as a general manager, is very unusual. But you think it's an advantage having stayed with one team? I mean, as you say, you know, the media could have run you out of town at one point. I mean, there are a lot of coaches and GMs who suffer from that kind of thing, but yet you've maintained such a good rapport. Well,
I'm not so sure if you ever maintain the kind of rapport you'd like with the press. You know, they can be very critical. This is a tough town. We're somewhat spoiled by the success of this franchise here, and we have sort of been competing with ourselves the last few years, and that's a difficult thing to do when you've had great success. And the only way for this franchise really to maintain what we maintain is to win championships and not particularly win games. This is a very critical town, and we have a lot of critics here.
That's a lot of pressure for the GM, who has to do better than you did the year before, and who, you know, getting to the playoffs isn't good enough. As you say, you have to win everything.
Well, here in this town, this is a difficult town, and I think sometimes that it encourages you to try to do better. But the whole point about this business, I think most people don't understand. You know, they'll see teams change. They'll see teams trade players. This is a risk-taking business, and if you have judgments, or the organization has judgments on people that you'd like to try to acquire, many times it's going to require trading a very popular player, and particularly one that's contributed to winning and success. And fans don't understand that, but it's like a poker game. If you run out of chips and the players are your chips, they can't play forever. You have to really try to replenish your team, and sometimes at the expense of removing a very popular player from your team. And that's not always difficult to live with from a fan's perspective, but even from a personal perspective. Players don't like to be traded. I wish we could keep the same team every year. It would be fun.
One of the reasons why you've thrived here could be because you were one of the greatest players in the NBA, and people have a soft place in their heart for you. Do you feel that that might have helped, obviously?
No, I don't really worry about that, no. We're going to be measured by our success, and I don't think that has anything to do with people's association with me, or maybe the fact they were Laker fans when I started playing. But it has nothing to do with the success that you try to attain in your present job. I don't really look in the past at all, and frankly, I don't mind to be criticized as long as it's honest.
How did you acquire the business sense? And I know, you know, as a player, you're focusing in on winning. As a coach, winning. As a GM, winning. Yet there's handling the players, the personnel, changes that are involved, as you say, the trades. Do you learn that? Is it something that just comes naturally? Does somebody ever teach you the business side of the game, or you just acquire that kind of experience?
Well, you know, we have a pretty complex set of rules, and we have a guideline of what we can do or can't do. And the NBA office has really been a tremendous help to me personally. I've learned a lot from the financial aspects of what you can pay a player, what you can afford to pay a player. But I think most importantly, when you're trying to assemble a team, it must be a team. And sometimes you can have a lot of individuals playing and your team's not very good, and maybe remove a player that people say, oh my goodness, this guy scores 20 a game, your team might be a lot better. So it's really sort of a balance of what I've seen as a player. I played when we had 2 players who scored all the points. That didn't work because you didn't have the kind of harmony that you wanted. I probably learned an awful lot from playing against the Boston Celtics because they really were a team. But you need a balance in this job, and I think the worst thing about it is you do take it personally. I was an ex-player, and I sat in the locker room, and I know what it's like to feel underpaid. I know what it's like when a player that you really like is traded, or someone is cut late in their career. Those are the things that hurt when you have to do those things. But I think you must understand that this is a job that somebody has to be responsible for. And I think working here for what I consider the best earner in basketball, Jerry Buss, he's really allowed me to use my instincts. And that's the way I function best, when my instincts work better.
And trust, obviously, giving you the flexibility to do what you need to do.
Well, as I say, he's been a great owner, and I couldn't have landed in a more pleasurable spot for me personally, because it's not an easy job.
The business of GMing a team has changed a lot since you took over. And when we come back with Jerry West, we're going to talk the business of hoops. We'll be right back.
My territory is like a geography lesson. LA, New York, Miami, London, Paris, Berlin. I live on TWA. I know all the flight numbers. I know the crew by their first names. We're old friends.
The TWA network covers 150 cities worldwide, including 125 cities in the U.S. alone.
Well, what do you expect? World is their middle name.
Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
We're back with Jerry West, one of the great legends of the game, and now on the business side of the Lakers franchise, which is a little different, and it's changing every day. The money in this game is incredible. The money in sports in general is incredible, and many people say, Jerry, that the NBA has handled it overall better than the other leagues with the revenue sharing system and that kind of thing. Do you agree with that, or do you see some problems?
Well, you know, there's a lot of money in our system right now, and the players, frankly, are partners with the NBA. And when they're partners, they're going to share in the division of wealth. And it's been I think, a great association with the players. But frankly, I see some real problems going into the future. And, you know, we're asked to pay players what agents think are salaries that are going to be available a few years from now. No one knows if the popularity and continued growth of the NBA is going to continue. And I think we're dealing in some very, very dangerous areas financially, because we're paying players in this league today more money than some of them should be paid. And we're not able to pay our great stars. And they're the people that make this league go. It's not our average players.
So you're saying pay the superstars, but too much is being paid to the guys that don't come out and do their job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Expansion has been a wonderful thing for the players, and I don't think necessarily for the league.
So you're against the expansion concept?
I'd hate to see it have more expansion until all teams are truly competitive. And I'm not so sure it's going to be competitive, but maybe dilution of a product, which I think was tremendous for a while. And now, when you work with people in this league, it's no fun to watch these people lose 60, 65 games. It's no fun. And you know, everyone marvels at the success of the real good teams, but the poor teams, and I say poor in the terms of winning and losing, not in the operation of them, those teams work just as hard or harder than the people that have had great success.
So are you saying that the teams that aren't winning, that maybe losing money, is going to hurt the league as a whole? Or do you think David Stern, one of his geniuses kind of thing, has been to make it so that the teams that aren't winning can still survive?
Well, they're not only surviving, they're making money. But again, I think this is about being competitive. I don't think teams want to go out and lose 65 games every year. It's no fun. It's not good for the league. And that's my biggest concern. I want everyone to be more competitive, and where we'll have some teams that will still be very, very attractive, but I just don't think it's good for a league when you have a bunch of teams losing 50 or more games. I don't think that's what we're looking for.
Do you think with the expansion team that the parity has lessened a little bit more in the league?
Mediocrity is a good word,
Right.
not parity.
It has become too mediocre for your taste.
Oh, absolutely.
There's only a couple teams that can really compete
No,
for
there's a few good teams, but I'm just saying that there's a number of teams that are so close to being real good that if they could just go get that one player, maybe in the draft, and because a lot of these teams have tried to build through the draft, and with the length of the draft today, with 27 teams drawing from a talent, many times it's almost impossible to get a player that can come and make your team and prosper. Even though these players are signed for guaranteed contracts, they might simply not be good enough to play in the NBA.
But because there's so many teams, they get in.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't be playing, and they shouldn't be getting paid because,
Well,
as well as they are because they are.
The
producing.
function of a franchise is try to grow and get better, okay? And if you draft 2 years in a row, if you miss in the draft, and then people say, well, you did a terrible job in the draft, that's not the case. Many times, the most attractive player might not be good enough to make your team, and or even help you. And the problem is that because of the system, that all players are guaranteed a lot of money, that you might sit with a player on your bench that's not good enough to make your team, and it hurts you to keep him on your bench. So at times it's a financial decision to keep a player.
Obviously, we're undergoing tremendous tough times in the economy with the recession the way it is. Your thoughts down the road, the future of basketball. You said before you're not quite sure how popular it's going to be a couple years down the road. Do you have any instinctive feelings that the NBA has hit a certain peak and may level off a little bit? Or?
I think this is one of the games that truly can be a worldwide game. I don't think baseball will for a long time. I don't think football will. But basketball is played all over the world, and we're developing a lot of new fans who watch NBA and watch the excitement associated with it. And I think you have to give a tremendous amount of credit to the NBA front office, their marketing strategies, the popularity of particularly a few of our players. It goes beyond the United States itself. It's worldwide. These players are known all over the world. And I think as long as we continue to grow in that area, that will continue to make this game a very popular game.
The new frontier, international, global basketball, and it seems to be working. It seems like they're doing a good job with that.
Well, again, people are hungry for sports. And if they see a sport like basketball, which, it's unlike soccer, which is a tremendous game overseas in Asia and South America, but they don't score very often. In basketball, you can see a great play made 40 times in one game. And I think when people become used to excitement and the boredom of a non-scoring contest is there, then I think that this will enhance more people, particularly that are from for other countries, watch this game. And if it does that, eventually, all over the world, people are going to like it. And I think there's a very, very big chance that you would see an awful lot of revenues come from other countries.
It's certainly very healthy now, and I can't imagine it declining at all since the international game seems to be on the rise. We'll be back with Jerry West in a moment.
Guests and crew, when in New York, dine at Mickey Mantle's, New York's premier restaurant and sports bar, located on Central Park South between 5th and 6th Avenue.
If you could reach into your TV, take the picture, and put it anywhere you want, you would discover the miracle of liquid crystal entertainment. The miracle of SHARPVISION. SHARPVISION's flat picture can be any size, to fit any wall, in any size room. Enjoy the crystal clear picture from any angle, and SHARPVISION disappears when not in use. Liquid crystal SHARPVISION. Big screen entertainment designed for your home.
When you do business all over, it's good to know there's an airline that flies there.
The TWA network covers over 150 cities worldwide. Today's TWA.
We're back with Jerry West, the chief architect of the LA Lakers, GM. And I know there were 2 years in between your playing and coaching career where you took off, in which you took off. You went nuts? You had to get back? What was it like?
Well, I'm not really sure. That was kind of a time in my life when I really didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. Kind of aimless time, probably time which was very reflective about the things I liked about professional sports and the things I intensely disliked. But it was a time when I needed to be away from it. I needed to find something out about myself that I really didn't know. When you're an athlete, the only thing you really think about is being an athlete. The world is sort of there, and you plow through it. And when you get out of it, it's a very dangerous period for athletes. I think simply because you're so used to being competitive, and suddenly when you're not competitive anymore, there's an awful lot of soul searching, looking for things that will allow you to grow in a different area. And at that time in my life, I was very aimless.
And what did you learn about yourself at that point?
I learned myself I wasn't going to be very happy if I didn't do something.
Was it necessarily just having to get back to basketball, or could it have been anything?
Well, it's not really. As we mentioned earlier, very few players or ex-players have a chance to even go to work for their franchise because the organizations are tiny. They're not very big. And it just happened to be an opportunity for me to get back involved, and it was something that I desperately needed to do in my life.
And from some of the articles that I've read, you're a very intense person when you watch a game or when you're watching tapes or when you're out on the court, and you say that it's this feeling that you get in your stomach that you've had ever since you were a player. And if once you stop feeling that feeling, it may be time to get out. You still feel that. It's still...
Well, I don't like to lose, and I don't like losing anything. I know there's a lot of people like that, but it affects me more than it does other people, and I take it personal. And I think my association with this team has not been anything other than a personal association. And I think in our lives we have loves, and this has been a great love of my life. I started playing professional basketball here, and hopefully when I walk away from this, I will still be someone who is productive and also needed. And if I'm not, then I don't want to be around here.
Does it take too much out of you, though, physically, to be that connected, that personally involved?
It's not good. It's really not good. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of worrying about the players. I have a personal interest in our players, unfortunately. I wish I could leave that part of it aside. And I think when you have someone around so long who's been not forget being a great player, but has been a good citizen and someone who's contributed to a franchise, if you get the thought of those people even leaving is painful. And I do take it personal.
And you've gone through a lot of those exits
you better
with
believe
players.
It. Yeah, a lot of them. And
any one more difficult than another?
I think a lot of them are, not just one, but you always have your favorites on a team. And I think when you look back, it takes a toll. And it's as I mentioned before, it's a very wearing job. You
have some interesting superstitions. One is that you say that the number 13 brings you good luck, right?
I like 13, yeah.
And
I would never wear it.
And that you will never travel on the road for a playoff game.
I don't like that, no. And I think that it's really easier, even when we play at home. I very rarely sit in my seat. I'd rather walk. And again, the outcome of the game sometimes are because we have been good, we think we're going to win a lot of games. But even those games that you win, you're searching for perfection, and you can't have perfection in this sport or any sport. You're looking for a perfect team, a team that can really play together, passes the ball beautifully and defends beautifully. Those are things that give me gratification. But I think the bottom line is because people in Los Angeles have, I grew up playing in the first game was ever played here professionally, and 40-some hundred people attended a game now where we have sellouts every night. And I honestly think that what gives me the most satisfaction is when we have sellouts because I know our people like our team.
That gives you more satisfaction than anything.
Absolutely. But I also know we'll be good because people in Los Angeles don't come out and see you unless you really win.
Of all the championships you acquired while being a GM, the 5 NBA championships, is there one team that just clicked more than any other, that just had everything, almost that perfection that you talk about?
We've had 2 or 3 teams like that here. And it's very rare that you can ever win a championship. And, you know, as a player, I struggled for years and with good teams, and we only won once. And we've been very fortunate in the 80s to have some great players, had a great coach in Pat Riley, a team that was really able to play together. But the bottom line is, if you don't have great players, you can't win. And we were able to assemble some of the really great players, and also complementary players, which made these great players really look good. And that's a gratification you get out of those times.
Red Auerbach once said that you were the deadliest guy in the league to play against, the most feared. Who would you say that person is present?
You know, I really don't know. You know, I often wonder if people really make compliments like that. I think people hear somebody say something, well, he played well tonight, and they'll change the complimentary mode. There's a number of great players in our league today, and I think on any given night, 1 of 5 or 6 of those people could beat you. But I think to mention one would really slight the other 4 or 5, and there's about 5 of them in the league.
That's pretty good to have 5 of them.
Oh, sure.
When you look back, Jerry, you're pretty happy with everything. You're a perfectionist. You love to win. Are you happy, or is there always that more, you know, that urge to just do more and more and more? I guess that's what drives you, what keeps you going.
Well, with me, there is always more, and sometimes when we're winning, I don't even take any joy in that. It's, you know, this, as we mentioned earlier, this job is a very wearing job. You know, every day, one newspaper article, one really negative thing about a player or something can create problems within a group of people. And you always have to be on guard. And in this town, there's too much press, and you can't be on guard all the time. But, you know, the bottom line is the press has a job to do. I recognize that. I understand that that's part of this business. It's the ultimate second-guessing business there is. And
can you smell the roses at all, though?
Not really. Not really. I've never. You know, something I'd like to say that I'm a little bit different in the sense I get the most incredible gratification from little things, and big things. You have to understand what they are, and you have to understand how much hard work and dedication involved in achieving big things, and the little things sometimes touch me maybe more than the big ones.
Thanks so much for being so honest with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.